Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? It's your girl Cha Cha reporting live from the Cosmic Club, and welcome to another episode of the Money Mantra, where I show people how simple and easy it can be to multiply your money directly from your phone by getting plugged in with the foreign exchange market. Now, the foreign exchange market is the largest financial market in the entire world. It's bigger than the stock market, and so much money moves through this market a day. The estimated daily trading volume is about $6.6 trillion. And $1 trillion actually has 12 zeros. So this is major. This is huge. Now, the reason why I prefer to trade in this market is because I can profit whether the market is going up or whether the market is going down, which is super cool. Versus stocks, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are trading stocks, it's just going to let you know that if the market goes down, you're definitely going to lose your money. So my piece of advice to you would be to do some research about the foreign exchange market, and just really take notes and diversify your finances. That's going to be extremely important when it comes to making more money. Because if we haven't noticed anything from the last 2 years, is that one stream of income is honestly too close to none. So I'm just going to introduce myself again. But again, my name is Chacha. I've been trading for about a year and a half. The style of trading that I prefer to do is called HFX, which is high frequency trading. And there are so many ways you can actually get involved within the foreign exchange market. So if you do have any questions about that, I highly encourage you to click any of the links below on this YouTube video or reach out to me directly on Instagram at Money Mantra Cha so we can get you started and you can start trading on your own today. Now, again, this is going to be the recorded training for confirmations using the Liberty Scanner within I Am Mastery Academy. So I'm going to share my screen again. I did have to start this video over, and I'll just take it from the top and do a brief little overview about what you should be looking for if this is something that you're interested in doing for yourself. So first and foremost, the first thing that you're going to want to do is check the news. This is not a step that you want to skip. It's actually crucial. It's crucial. You don't want to go into the market blind. That is not advised at all. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration on how the market moves with the different color folders, because this is the main thing that you're looking for is the impact of the news that actually happened in the market. So if you see a yellow folder, that is pretty traditional, right? Because that's how the market typically moves. And when I pull up my chart, you'll see that it's always going to be a W shape or an M shape, whichever one your mind goes to first. So this top line is going to represent our resistance or our selling point. And this bottom line is going to represent our support or our buying point. And the squiggly line I'm going to draw, that M or that W, is going to represent how the market is actually moving. So this bottom line, again, is our support. Price will typically buy at a support, sell at a resistance, go back down to the support, it'll buy again, come back up to the resistance, sell, go back down to the support, buy, go back up to the resistance, sell. So you're going to see a really clear pattern. You're going to be able to predict exactly what's going on, except if the market decides to break structure. And that's when we get into the orange folders, right? Now, the market will always break structure at one point in time or another, but if it has an orange folder, it's more likely to do that because the impact of this news is actually higher. Right now, I always take time to go over these basic preliminary steps because it's always going to be somebody's first time watching a training video. So again, the bottom line represents our support where people are buying, and the top line represents our resistance where people are selling. Now, if you see an orange folder, the market is going to stay within the structure, but there may be a spike. So at this place where you thought you may have sold, you'll get a breakout, and you may actually get spiked out of your trade before the market decides to come back down. Now, it can do this on the selling side or it can do this on the buying side. But the most important thing that I want you to remember is that this will happen. Right now, when it comes to trading and investing, we already know that it's risky. So we want to manage our risk. Now, a red folder, especially if you are not a skilled trader and you're just starting, is something that you want to avoid completely, right? Because this is going to be the market movement, right? So where you thought it would have sold at a resistance, right? Or if you thought it would have sold at a support, the market is going to be, and let me just clear some of this stuff off the chart, right? Now, with a red folder, the market is going to be consistently creating new highs and lows, right? Or new buying and selling points. And it's going to be really, really hard for you to keep up. And that's not something that you want to do because all you came here to do is make some money. Now, the second thing you want to do is check livecharts.uk. This is another simple step, and it's all about the two currencies and how they're trading against each other at that current time. So the first currency is called the base currency. The second currency is called the quote currency. And you'll always know because there's two currency pairs in each thing, right? So say, for example, if we want to look at USD CHF, which is a currency pair, right? We see USD CHF. Now, if the first currency has more bars, then that's just giving you one inclination that the market could be going up. It's telling you that the United States dollar is very strong right now and it's pulling the market in the upward bullish direction, which means that buyers are continuing to push the price higher and higher. Now, if we were going to look at something different, let's just say if we were looking at AUD JPY, in this case, JPY is the second currency, and it actually, even though it's slightly more strength, it still has more strength than the Australian dollar, which is telling us that this market may be selling and it's going to be driving the price down, right? So that's all we need to know right now. Now, when it comes to choosing your broker, that's going to be completely up to you, but the broker that I use is Pocketoption. I love Pocketoption because it has an easy user interface. The directions are pretty clear, and it has a lot of different assets for you to trade, which is going to be important when it comes to choosing a broker, because you may want to trade gold one day or you may want to trade a currency pair and you may not be able to find it. So just choose wisely. So again, we're going to continue to use USD for this example, because it's paying out at 81%. When you're trading HFX, you always want to make sure that the payout is at least 70% so that you make sure you're getting a return on your investment. So USD. And again, you can see you can trade all of these different things on Pocketoption. You can trade cryptocurrencies, but the payouts are pretty low. You can trade commodities, right? Like oils, natural gas, and gold. You can also trade stocks, and you can see the payouts are pretty high for this as well. And now they recently added indices where you can make amazing profits just from knowing when to enter the market. So if you really take cohesive notes and you really practice this and you make it a priority to learn this skill, you're going to be able to trade any of these things and not just Forex, right? So that's one thing that I really want to highlight. This is just market education, market analysis that can really take your trading game to another level if you're trying to make more money from your phone. Now, the scanner that I like to use to help me with my trade ideas is called the Gold Liberty Scanner. And this is one of the products that's offered by I Am Mastery Academy, which is the best elite trading academy in the world for helping people get started with this type of trading. Now, why do I prefer this over going to YouTube or simply using TradingView? And it's because 99% of the work is done for me. All I have to do is come in here, count a few confirmations, 3 or 4 things, right? Ask myself 3 or 4 basic questions, and then I should be able to make money off of that quick analysis. Now, I don't want you to be turned off to other products, but just know that you will have to do a lot more versus coming into a space where everything is done for you and you have elite educators, people who have 6 and 7 figure accounts, people who have been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 plus years that are going to give you everything you need to know. And sometimes the most you actually have to do is click a button. So once you log into your scanner, the Liberty Scanner, which is one of many products that this academy offers, you want to click on strategies and choose the one that you want to analyze for getting into the market. Now, there's 4 different strategies that are preloaded here for you. And all that means is that it's 4 different ways to look at the market. And all you again have to do is find your entry point. So I'm going to be using a strategy called Pickpocket 2.0. This is one of my favorite strategies simply because it actually genuinely gives you the entry, right? So once you click on the strategy that you want, it may look a little bit crazy like this, but this is not what you want to look at. You actually want to move your mouse down here towards the bottom of the screen, and you really want to zoom in so that you can get a good look at what's currently happening in the market, right? Because this entire thing is what has happened over the previous course of time. Now, I have my frequency of my candles showing up every 5 minutes. So imagine if this was a bus schedule and it said that the bus is coming every 5 minutes. That just means that you have every 5 minutes, you have another opportunity to enter into a trade. Or you can even take this down to a smaller time frame, 2 minutes, 1 minute, if you want to analyze the market at that frequency, but that's kind of fast and you want some time for your trade to develop. Now, the reason why I say this is because imagine if you go to a restaurant and someone says, as soon as you sit down, somebody says, what do you want to eat? You may not know. You may have never seen the menu before. You don't know what they offer. You don't know what your vibe is. You don't know what you have a taste for. So you'll say, okay, I don't know yet. So they say, okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes to give you some time to look at the menu and decide what you want. That would really put your mind at ease because now you have more time, right, to actually settle in and think about what it is that you want. And the market works the same exact way. Now, why I like Pickpocket is because I don't like looking at a lot of stuff on my screen. Now, although I Am Academy and other trading platforms or other trading analysis platforms, look at all these indicators, right? These are all the indicators that you have the option to use based on how you like to look at the market. But today we're going to be using the Don Chinian channel, right? Which is this thin black line, right? And it's one indicator, although it's two lines. There's one at the top and there's one at the bottom, and it's called the Don Chinian channel. And it's very, 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 very similar to the Bollinger Bands. Excuse me, if you guys are familiar with that indicator. Now, what I like about this is it's essentially, and I really want you guys to write this down, it's essentially a price trap, right? And we can just scroll back and look at previous action in the market to see why this is true. Now, if you see that the candles, and this is just a visual thing that you can look at right away before you start asking yourself those confirmation questions. Sorry, y'all. Let me make sure I go to USD CHF, right? So this is not in vain. USD CHF. That's another thing too. If you want to change your currency pair, just click on the screen. And it'll take you, type in the currency pair you want, and it'll take you there, right? So we have USD CHF. Now, what you're going to notice is that if these candles, these things are called candles, they can either be blue if the market is currently buying or red if the market is currently selling. If you see that the candles are pushing against the top Don Chinian line, right, that's going to tell you that the market is actually setting up to sell. I want you to think about everything in between these two lines as a house, right? It's your home, and you have a roof on your home, which nothing can go outside of the roof or ceiling. And then you also have a basement or a floor. Nothing can go through that floor. Everything is going to stay within the home, right? So if that makes sense, guys, who's you're paying attention, just go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat to let me know that you're awake. Let me know that you're still here so I can really go ahead and break down these Don Chinian channels for you. All right, awesome. I see some ones coming in. That is amazing. I'm so happy that it's making sense for y'all. So if you see the candles pushing up on the top line, you want to go ahead and know that you're setting up for a sell, right? And if you see the candles pushing against the bottom line, you want to know that you are setting up for a buy, right? You want to know that you're setting up for a buy. Now, if we were to look at this market right now, we can see that the candles are obviously closer to the top line, right? It's obviously closer to the top line, but that's not the only confirmation that we need. Now, my advice is that I always collect 3 to 5 confirmations, and then I'll get into the other more technical questions as I do my technical analysis if I need to. But for the most part, these few questions that I'm going to tell you guys are simple, and they'll also help you get some really good results. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, what color, right? And I'll drop these questions in the chat as well, right? For people who want to go back and watch this later, I'll ask you guys, what color, this is question number 1. What color is the current candle, right? I spelled color wrong, but you get the point. What color is the current candle, right? Now, if it's red, you're going to give that confirmation to the sellers. If it's blue, of course, you're going to give that confirmation to the buyers. And I'll draw it on the screen just so we can keep track here, right? Nobody but you. All right, we got buyers and sellers, right? So the current candle is blue, right? So we're going to go ahead and give that confirmation to the buyers. The second question you want to ask yourself is, are the candles above or below my EMA, which is this line right here? And we can clearly see that the candles and everything else for that matter is actually above that line. So the buyers are going to get a second point. Now, the third thing you want to ask yourself is, do I see a arrow, right? Because the arrow will tell you what to do. It'll tell you whether you're selling. It'll tell you whether you're buying. And we actually do see a blue buying arrow. So far, so good, right? Because my mantra is 3 confirmations are good, 4 confirmations are great, 5 confirmations are amazing. So we got 3 confirmations for the buy. So we know that we want to focus on the buy. Now, even though the strategies are already built, you still want to kind of have an idea of where your entry zone or entry points is. So instead of using lines today, I'm actually going to use this rectangle just to highlight a buy zone. And the buy zone is just going to highlight for us. The buy zone is just going to highlight for us that whenever the candles push into this zone, we know that we can go ahead, look at our chart, look at our live chart on Pocketoption and take it for a buy, right? So I like zones, right? Because there's never really going to be a true entry point. Like, you may have an area that the market consistently revisits, but you want to have a zone because it gives you such a more wide range of opportunities to actually get into that trade. So I'm going to turn the bottom section blue. And I'm going to turn this top section red just so that we know that this is our sell zone, right? So now we have If the candles push back down into this area, you know you can go ahead and get into that trade for a buy. And if the candles start to push into this red area, we know that we're going to want to focus on the sell, right? So let me just type these other two questions in the chat. Is the candle, what color is the current candle? The second question is, are the candles above or below the EMA, right? That's very important. If you use your trigger words, you'll know that certain words are always going to be associated with the buy and certain words are always going to be associated with the sell. And question number 3 is, do you see, or what color, right? What color is the arrow you see, right? And that should tell you everything you need to know about the trade. So look at this. The market has actually pushed into our buy zone. And you can always add a horizontal line as well, just so you don't have to remember this number. But the horizontal line is actually just going to put a placeholder on that candle, right? So we can see that if the market pushes down to about, and depending on which broker you use, you're going to want to give or take a few points. We know that if the market pushes a little lower than 400, right, we should be able to get into this trade for a buy, right? So we come back to our, and let me just clear some of this stuff off the screen just so it's not too crowded for y'all. Right? So we can see that if the market pushes down to 400, right, or anything lower, we know that we can click the blue button and get in for a buy. And we also can put a horizontal line up here as well. And again, the only reason we're putting this line is to give you a signal as to when you should actually get in. You have a zone, right? So you can get into the trade at any of these zones. But I know some people like exact numbers. So we have about 445 or higher for a sell, and 400 or lower for a buy. So let's really see what's going on, right? So I see the market keeps visiting 408, right? I see the market keeps visiting 408 and it's having it's really struggling. And we can visually see that. You can zoom in as much as you need to just to see that the market is continuously hitting this line that we marked, telling us that that is a potential really good entry for us to get in for this trade. So let's just go ahead and see what the market is doing now. All right, it's at 397. So I'm going to go ahead and click this green button, right? It's only 2 buttons you can click when you're doing HFX. You can get in for a buy or you can get in for a sell. Now, in this case, I'm only going to be in this trade for 3 minutes. Now, I know with some stocks, you can stay in the trade for days. You can stay in the trades for months. You can even hold on to some trades for years, but we really don't want to do that. So you can get in this trade, like I said, for 3 minutes, or you can even get into this trade for 1 minute to see what are your chances of actually staying in profit. Now, HFX is so amazing because as soon as you click the button, it's really up to the market at that point. Now you're gonna notice that a green line popped onto my screen telling me that this is where I bought. This is my exact place that I entered the market in, right? And then if you actually click on your trade, and I love this about Pocketoption, if you click on your trade, it'll tell you all of the trade details. So it'll tell you that you got into USD CHF. If you see a green arrow, it tells you that you got in for a buy, which means you click the green button. So always be careful and make sure you're clicking the right thing, right? It's going to let you know where you actually got in. Now for HFX, you only pay attention to the last 3 digits. So in this case, we got into the market at 397 and the market is currently at 406. Now we don't need a rocket scientist for us to understand that 406 is definitely higher, right, than 397. Now, another thing that tends to give people anxiety, or why I've noticed they stay away from HFX, is because they just can't take it. It's just too much anxiety. But the market is going to go up and down, right? So while we wait for this trade, and again, we have a minute and 45 seconds left in this trade. If we do clear, we did put $100 into this trade, as you can see, with the payout of 81%. Now, the payout is important because it tells you how much profit you're going to make in addition to actually getting your initial risk back, right? So if you lose this trade, right, or it doesn't go in your favor, you're going to lose that $100, right? Let me get in for 1 minute here. If we lose this trade, we're going to end up losing $100 because that's how much we risked into the trade. But if we win the trade, right, or clear the trade goes in our favor, we're going to walk away with our initial risk, right, plus an additional $81, which is amazing. Now, again, you're going to notice that the market is going to be going up and down, and it's going to be creating this M, right? And it's going to be creating this W pattern. As long as the market is above your entry point, by the time your time expires, you'll be fine. But if the market is below your entry point and you went in for a buy, of course, you would not clear that trade. So again, we have 40 seconds. And as we can see, this trade was in profit, but it's no longer in profit. But we're not going to get upset about that. We're not going to be depressed about that. Again, we're just going to let the trade run its course, because once you're in, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, again, and I really want to highlight this for you guys. USD CHF is the currency pair that we're trading. When we first checked the news, we noticed that USD actually had an orange folder, which was an indication that the market could break the structure and go in a different direction at any given moment. And that looks like what may happen here. We have about 3 seconds left, and it looks like these trades are not going to close above that green line, meaning which results in a loss, right? But that's perfectly fine, because I'm pretty sure if we were to come and look at our Liberty scanner again, we can visually see that there's a red candle and it's below our entry point. So the market actually did decide, and let me actually draw this for you as well, just so it's making sense, right? Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say you won't take losses, but you can't feel a way about it. So as we can see, this was our support line, right? The market was buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling, and now the market's right here. Now, of course, we would expect the market to buy at this line, but it broke the structure and decided to come down a little bit lower, which there's nothing wrong with that. It really happens. So what you want to do when that happens is you just want to come in here and do another analysis, right? For every 5 minutes, you'll have the opportunity to do this. So what I'm going to do, because I noticed that the market actually dropped lower than where I initially thought it would, I'm just going to simply move my horizontal line down to actually align more with the bottom of these candles to more accurately reflect a zone that the market was buying in. And as we can see, 381 is significantly lower than 400, which was our entry. So we're going to try this again, right? Because the market is still in our buy zone, right? It's still above the EMA. We still have a blue arrow, but it's looking like it may want to turn around. So and this is another great thing. So you can always confirm it on the 1 minute, because do you see this huge gap between the 1 minute and the 5 minute? Now, on the 1 minute, we can clearly see that this is looking like it wants to continue to sell, right? It's a huge gap between the 1 minute and the 5 minute, but we're going to see. We're going to try this out again at 385 or lower, right? The market's currently at 391. At 385 or lower, that's going to be our new entry point, right? Based on this, I just added a few points to where I had my thing. It's still in my buy zone, right? It's still in my buy zone, but I just need to make my entry point a little bit lower. So I'm going to let the market drop down to the 380s, and then I'm going to take my chances again. Now, one thing I do want to highlight is that when you are trading, you do want to make sure that you're using proper risk management. And you want to make sure that you're really utilizing your demo account, which is another reason why I love Pocketoption. Because if you're using your demo account, I didn't lose any real money, so I'm not really upset about that. So I like to try it out in my demo first. If it clears, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm taking it to my live account. If it doesn't clear, I have another opportunity to do my analysis again, right? I have another opportunity to do my analysis again and then actually clear that in my live account. So if that makes sense, guys, just drop a 7 in the chat. All right, so this market is it's being a little cardiac right now, right? And it's looking like it may be turning around. We can see the market has broken that structure. So I'm just going to actually select a different pair. If you're following along, I'm going to be checking out CADJPY, right? So let's look at CADJPY. And when you're there, you can just drop CJ in the chat, right? And you want to do the same thing. Go to your Liberty scanner, click on your screen, type in the currency pair you're looking for, and then select M5. I like to start with M5 simply because, again, I need at least 5 minutes to do my analysis. And what is this looking like? So let's ask ourselves those confirmation questions. What color is the current candle? It's red. Are the candles above or below the EMA? This is the EMA. And the cool thing about the all IM Academy strategies is that they're color coded. So all you have to do is literally look at the EMA is red. So we can tell that the market is in a selling pattern right now. Also, what color is the arrow we see? We don't really see an arrow on this one. So far it's looking like a sell, but I'm just going to confirm my analysis on the 1 minute just to see what's going on. I'm going to get myself some horizontal lines, right? I'm going to create a support for myself, and I'm going to create a resistance for myself based on where I can see that pattern, right? So in this example, we can see that we can go for a sell. a buy around 255 or lower, because that is where our support line is in this example. And for a sell is going to be around 292. And I'll drop this in the chat as well. So I'll say sell 300 or higher, right? And we do have more confirmations for a sell. I'll say we can buy around, I'll say 255 or lower. And these are trade ideas, right? And again, make sure you're using your demo account. So we're going to wait and see what happens. Is the market going to drop back down to that 255, 260 area? It's looking like it might, right? It's looking like it might. And if it actually gets as high as 300, we're going to go ahead and take that for a sell, right? So we're waiting for anything between 255 and 260. That will be our zone, right? But this market is looking a little bit consolidating. So it could drop all the way down till we see 259 right here. And then we see 256. And then we also see 254. So it's moving a little bit crazy, but we're going to trust trust our trade, trust our analysis. And even looking at the Liberty scanner, we can see it's a little bit stuck. It's not really moving up or down at this particular time. And when you see stuff like that, of course, you don't have to take the trade. You can wait it out, or you can go ahead and start your analysis on something else. So we're going to try this again. We have 250 to 260 for a buy. And we can even get another resistance here, because we see that there was some resistance here, where the market broke structure a little bit. So I'll say 275 or higher for that sell. But again, it does have the potential to push up to 300, and 250 to 260 for a buy. So we have a few numbers to play with here. All right, we see 270. Now let's just see if it gets up to that 275. And we're going to, again, get into this trade for 1 minute. And then again for 3 minutes to see which one would be the best example for us to actually take in our live accounts, right? So now we just got to wait, as we can see. And then whenever you see the market sitting there and is really playing around numbers, that's a great indication that the market is going to break that pattern, and it is going to break that zone, right? So now you see that severe drop, right? So if it gets past to 260, right, anywhere between 250 and 260, we can try that for a buy. And then again, if it gets back up to 275, we're going to go for a sell, right? So I'm going to take a 1 minute buy, and I'm also going to take a 3 minute buy to see which one would be the best place for us to actually clear this trade. Right now, I took mine a little bit high, closer to 260. But of course, 250 is the sweet spot for that trade. Now, again, if you get in for a buy, you're going to see a green line pop up on your screen telling you that this is where you entered the market at. Now, in order for you to clear the buy, the market, which is this blue dot here, has to end above that green line by the time the trade expires. Now, again, the market can go either way within the time frame that you select, as long as it's above for a buy and below for a sell by the time your time expires. So in this trade, we can see we have about 30 seconds left, and the market is currently 8 points above our entry. Now, it's amazing. We don't want to celebrate too soon, because we don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is say, I've done my analysis. I counted my confirmations. I have my entry point, and this makes sense to me. So on our 1 minute trade, as you can see, the market is only 6 points above our entry, which is not high at all, right? I need at least 10 for me to feel secure in my trades, but there is 7 seconds left in this trade. The market still seems to be above our entry point. We can visually see it here. So in 1 second, we're going to get that golden notification that says, congratulations, you just earned $180 on CADJPY, which is amazing, right? I remember I used to wait literally a whole week to make $180, but now I can make it in a matter of minutes if I trust my analysis. Now, again, we did this on our demo. If you say, wow, and you can always go back to your previous trades here, right? And you can see that on this trade, which we cleared, our entry point was 257. So now we know we want to write that down. And in our live account, we say, okay, let me set 257 as a pending order, right? I'm going to set 257 as a pending order, because I know that this is a place where the market has the potential to clear, right? So now we just have about a minute left. We're just going to let it rock out. If you guys did clear the trade or into this trade, just let me know what your entry point is and what your result is, right? So this is why I love HFX. It's pretty simple. Even if you do take a loss or two, you can always make it right back in the market, not by revenge trading, but by checking your analysis and seeing where you may have gone wrong, right? Where you may have gone wrong. So 45 seconds left. right? And anything can happen within this time, but let's see what's actually going to happen, right? So guys, as you can see, we entered the trade down here for a buy. The market is currently all the way up here. And when you're doing HFX, if you get in for a buy, you need the market to stay above this green line for the amount of time that you selected. Now, I was in this trade for about 3 minutes. I have 15 seconds left. The market is still above my entry point. And when it does clear, we're going to get the notification that says, congratulations, right? We have 5 seconds left that we can see on this trade. We're going to get the notification that says, congratulations, right? You have earned $180 on CADJPY, which again is amazing. So again, I'll go over the confirmations one more time when using Pocketoption, because it's super, super, super simple. You ask yourself some basic questions and then you take the trade if it makes sense. So the first question is, what color is the current candle? In this case, we have blue. We have the candles above or below the EMA. They're below. And then we have, what arrow do you see? We don't really see any arrow. So once we ask ourselves those questions, we set up our horizontal lines, right? And this is for a 1 minute analysis. You want to put one at the top of the candle and you can put one at the bottom of the candle. This is on the 1 minute. Let's try it again on the 5, right? Okay, so now we see a blue arrow, right? So we have a blue candle, right, under the EMA, right, with the blue arrow. So we have 2 confirmations for a buy and 1 confirmation for a sell. Let's move our horizontal line up because we have to keep up with the market. So what this tells us is that we can potentially get in for a buy around 285 or lower, and we're going to want to focus on that sell around 315, right? And I'll drop this in the chat as well, right? So we have a potential buy around 280, right, or lower. That's going to be our zone. And then we have that sell, right? Hey, Roy, what's up? And then we have our sell at 315 or higher, right? And this is just based on our second analysis. Once you get that blue arrow, that's a really, really, really good sign. And again, this is why I love IM Academy, because everything is literally there just for you to absorb it and to make money. So again, we have our entry points, that 280 or lower for that sell, right? Remember, 300 was also another zone for the sell. That was our very first entry point. So now we have a zone between 300 and 315. The higher the better for the sell, right? The higher the better. And we have a buy between, well, around 280, right? So let's just see what happens, right? I'm going to also, when if the market reaches either point, I'm going to take that for a 1 minute, and I'm also going to take it for a 3 minute. I love to test out both in my demo so that I can see which one has a higher probability of making me money in my live account. And this will be the last example that I do today. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. Make sure you are subscribed to YouTube, because every training that I have, I do post it on YouTube. If you want to have a one-on-one session with me, that is still open. It's in my Acuity link. Everything is in my link tree, which you can find in my bio on Instagram at moneymantracha@gmail.com. So again, we are waiting for the market to hit either one of these points. And while we're waiting, for my people who don't know, another benefit of Pocketoption is you do have the option to do pending orders. Now, pending orders let you set up your trade idea for the future in case the market hasn't actually reached that point yet. So how do you do that? On your right panel, right? And this can only be done on pocketoption.com, right? On your computer, or pocketoption.com on your phone. I don't believe it works in the PO Trade app, right? So on your right panel, you're going to see pending trades. You want to click on that. We're not going to do it by time, right? We're actually going to do it by the price, because the price is our entry point, right? Entry point and price is the same thing. We want to make sure the currency pair is correct. We have CADJPY, and we know that if the market gets to 280, so we're going to only change the last 3 digits. We know that if the market gets to 280 or lower, right? Another tip, always make sure you change your payout to 70%, because if it's 70 or anything above that point, it's going to trigger, right? You can set your time frame for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to choose 1 minute, and I'm going to go in for a buy, right? I know that, and I'm just going to read my trade back out loud to myself. I'm trading CADJPY if the market, and I'm literally just reading from right to left like a book. I'm trading CADJPY, and if the market goes to 280 or lower with the payout of 70%, I'm going to enter this trade for 1 minute with the risk amount of $10, and it's going to be a buy, right? It's going to be a buy. So as we can see, our trade should actually trigger. Our trade should actually trigger. And look at that, right? You don't have to do anything else. The trade triggered. My hand was not even on the keyboard. It automatically puts you into that trade once the market hits that point, right? So currently the market is at 278. Remember, it's going to go up and down within the time frame, but as long as it's above your entry point by the time your time expires, you'll make money on that buy. And if it's below your entry point and you went in for a sell, you will make money on that sell. So we have 280 or lower for a buy. And then we also have 255, which the market could be getting back to. But again, we just going to trustthetrade.com. And the good thing about your demo account is if you notice that this entry point is either too low or too high, you can modify it before you risk or lose any real money. So we have 40 seconds left. We can see the market is really playing in this zone, right? So I actually got in exactly at 280, right? But if you took it at anything lower than 280, of course you would be in profit, right? That was the trade idea. So we have 25 seconds left. The market is super close to our entry, 1 point off. It can really go either way at this point, but again, I don't feel no ways about it because my demo account is my best friend and it just lets me know that, all right, I need to lower my entry because remember, it looks like the market is trying to get back to 255, which was our initial point, right? Which was our initial point. So again, I don't feel bad about this. It makes sense to me. All I know now is that the market is trying to get back to my original entry, which is perfectly fine. So now we know we just have a really wide zone. But guys, I'm going to be wrapping up this session for the day. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on and learn with me. Again, make sure you click the notification bell below to make sure you're subscribed to get any notifications for when I go on, for whether I'm on the charts, right, analyzing the foreign exchange markets, or whether I'm off the charts, giving you guys some amazing mindset. But thank you again, and I will see you again on Monday at 2 o'clock p.m. for another on the chart session. Have a great weekend, everybody.